Try this. and welcome to the University of Guelph Invitational. My name's Thomas West. We'll be joined by Jai Mowat down at ice level, and it's the first time in quite a long time that we're back on the ice here at the Guelph Curling Club. A long off season for these curlers, but Jai, it's really good to be back.
Absolutely, Thomas. I'm here at ice level at the Guelph Curling Club for the first game between the Ryerson Rams and the Guelph Griffins. And might I just say, after the pandemic and not being able to have sports activities outside, it's great to be at a curling club, and I can't wait for all the curling action to begin.
Yeah, it sure is fantastic. And our first game here on sheet 1, the feature sheet here at the Guelph Curling Club, is the Ryerson Rams taking on the Guelph Griffins, as we see Thomas Pepper throwing his first rocks. Lead for the Team Ryerson. Ryerson's a very new team, as we see them throwing a couple center guards here to start things off. The first one's going to go into the rings. A new team, communication will certainly be key, but Jai, that's something in curling that sometimes can get a little bit overlooked, the communication and teams' ability to play together.
Absolutely. The sport is referred to as chess ice, so it's all about communication amongst teammates, strategy. And you can see that's quite a aggressive defensive strategy by Ryerson to put the stone just behind the hog for that center guard, quite high up, making it hard for Guelph to draw around it.
So it appears that we are going to have rocks in play here in this first end in Guelph.
I felt pretty fast. I felt like.
And Jai, something that you are probably entertained by. Always want to see points in play. Ever since the 5-rock rule was introduced in curling, a lot more points are getting scored. It puts a lot more emphasis on being able to draw rather than just hit.
Well, Thomas, as my mom always used to say, the closer to the honey you are, the better. So in this instance, the honey is the button. So the more points, the better.
And we are just in draw 1 here with Jai Mowat at ice level. So there's a lot more of that coming, isn't there?
Where are we? Easy. Whoa, whoa. Line's good. Line's good. Line. We're over curling. Good.
That's Jaden King throwing that rock, the first of the second stones, the Guelph Griffins. And this team knee page, I guess is the Guelph Griffins right now, they've been together for a little while. Already started off winning a tournament in Oakville a couple months ago. And unlike Team Ryerson, these Guelph guys probably have a little bit more of the communication factor on the ice figured out. Yeah, I can hear you going. This is Matthias Chung throwing his first. That'll connect, though. Maybe just slightly buried behind that yellow stone there.
Hey, Ford!
For all of these curlers, that's the first time in a while they've had a chance to get back. Well, an official competition.
Close! Yep! 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 Hard! Hard, Jim! Hard, you got it! Keep going hard! Hard! Really hard! Whoa, whoa. Okay, that works.
Call there from Dylan Kneepage, flooring his sweepers to try and straighten that rock out.
Which is a great play to go with, especially when you have the hammer. You see that there's closer to the button. What is your take on the corner guard?
Well, it's always good to see Roxon play in the first end. Obviously, the corner guard is a little bit more of a passive play. It keeps the center of the ice open, but Jai, maybe you have a better look at it. You can see that yellow rock there in the middle, and I don't believe that yellow is buried behind it in the rings.
No, absolutely not. And it's the one thing you notice is that the shots are now starting to get a lot more difficult as the area to score has decreased with more stones filling the house.
So we get a shot of the rings there with our overhead cameras. Yellow line one right now. So Guelph will look to hit and maybe just a little roll over, and it might just go too far. And that's probably going to give Eric Fennick for the Ryerson Rams a chance to hit and maybe stick, roll under that center yellow guard. Line's good is a good sign. Sweepers are on it though. And it's going to hit and it's going to roll just out. So the rings are going to stay open. Very likely that Dylan Nepage will try and call something behind that yellow rock there.
And into the first end, Thomas, the one thing I've noticed is we've seen quite a few hits. Strategy-wise, how effective is that?
Well, the hits right now, it's almost like they're playing passive and aggressive at the same time. Obviously, the guards in the middle of the ice, that's quite an aggressive play. But right now, I don't think either of these teams this early in the season wants to do anything too particularly risky. It's this tournament mostly about getting the communication back between teammates, gathering information as the game goes on. Obviously, the ice changes a lot, as this is just going to tick off that guard. So a couple of center guards there, and I'm not sure if I heard the call, but I'm pretty sure they were trying to go in behind that guard, give themselves a chance at 2 for the last rock.
Well, Thomas, taking away from what you said, there's nothing wrong with playing, safe and conservative early on in a curling game, because the game will develop, the game will grow. However, if you take a look at the Guelph Griffins jerseys today, that's anything but conservative and playing it safe. It's very loud and aggressive, so expect them maybe to throw a lot more hits than Ryerson.
So first for Weston Orniak from Manitoba. Grew up curling there. And now in Ontario, curling for Team Ryerson Rams. This will be a hit and maybe roll into the rings here. And I didn't even see that Yellowstone there on the far left. So Guelph did have a chance to lie too with that last rock that ticked off that center guard. So now it's Ryerson lying one. Is that rock buried there, Jai, from your viewpoint? Can you see that?
Yeah, it's quite deep. It's almost towards the back of the 8-foot. It was a really good shot and a good roll for Weston. And I had the chance to speak to Weston earlier on this year, and he refers to his hometown as curling heartland in Manitoba, Winnipeg. What do you have to say about that, Thomas?
Jai, I wrote that down on my sheet. I knew you were going to bring that up.
I just had to.
First stone for Skip Dylan Nepage for the Guelph Griffins. And his is going to tick off that center guard as well, so things opening up. I think he was trying to go around. Chance for Ryerson to lie 2 here without the hammer.
just standing here by the ice, Thomas, and I can hear Weston telling his team right by the 8, right by the 8. So they're going to want to tuck that stone as close as possible.
Yeah, probably want to try and split the house here, make as hard a double as possible for Guelph, but, well, actually at this point in the game, there's a chance probably just to draw to the button there. Nestle up right on that red rock. So this will probably near the top of the house if they can. Force Dylan Nepage and the Griffins to make a difficult shot. And I think what they meant there by putting it right at the top of the rings was they're hoping that this rock could get into the rings, and I don't think it's quite going to get there, but either way, that is still a tough hole for Nepage to come through.
Like a little more ice here, or touch more. Yeah.
So that's interesting as well there. You see Nepage just calling for a little bit more ice to start things off. Obviously, as the game goes on, the ice will get faster and a little bit straighter.
Whoa. Clean.
A lot of weight on this shot.
It's picking up speed.
And he'll hit and roll out, so it'll be a blank in the first end for Team Guelph. They shorten the game, grab the hammer advantage. And we remain scoreless.
And like you said, Thomas, to me yesterday, having that hammer advantage is crucial for a team. It just gives them more opportunities to score points and forces the opposing team to try their best to try and steal points and force.
So Guelph keeps hammer. And Jai, we were talking about this a little bit last night in the hotel room as well, about, you know, how important it is to have hammer and even ends, and well, Guelph has done just that.
Absolutely, it's given Ryerson an uphill battle to climb, so let's see how they do it. They're going to have to try and force, they're going to try and have to steal, and it all comes down to being clinical with your opportunities.
And you see the first stone by Ryerson as well. That's put right in the house. That one by Thomas Pepper, the lead.
Right there at the top of the 8-foot.
So this is a very non-aggressive play to start things off here. They're gonna make Guelph's lead hit, Daniel Del Conte. And he does just that, rolls and stays in the rings.
And for the team with the hammer, that's a great shot because not only has your stone rolled off and stayed in the rings, it's kept the center of the ice open for yourself.
You could see the expression on the face there from Thomas Pepper as he was throwing that rock.
You could indeed, you could indeed.
You had a feeling that might be curling a little bit too much.
And it's unfortunate, but it's all about keeping calm. This is not about the game. This is not a rock and roll concert. It's more of a jazz concert or an orchestra. But timing, calm, and take your strides with it. No point fretting over a lost stone. Come back and throw a better one.
So it does give Guelph a little bit of an opportunity here. See what they can do with this. And I don't know if that nestled up as close to that yellow rock as Daniel Del Conte wanted it to. This could be a opportunity for a double for Matthias Chung. Probably going to see a little bit of weight on this shot here. Sweepers are right off. Now they're sweeping it. Hit and rolling to the outside. As Weston Orniak was willing that rock to try and get out of the rings, but since it wasn't behind the tee line, that was all he could do. So there is a little biter there on the outside for Guelph, so that certainly is a positive for them. Probably a chance for them to split the rings here, put something on the other side, maybe the left side of the rings.
And with a team with the hammer, that's what you want to do. Play to the corner of the house, keeping the center wide open for yourself.
This rock's got to straighten out, and it needs a little bit of weight as well. Gavin Lydiot is sweeping it as hard as he can, and oh, that might just be perfect there on the top corner. I think that rock's biting that top corner, so Guelph lying 2 right now. Matthias Chung will need to remove at least one of these, and they might be trying to hit and roll over. I think the roll right now is more of a bonus than anything. Yeah, Matthias is calling that right away.
Bowen, can you hear me?
With your body.
And that one's going to go right by, so chance for Guelph to put another one in the rings. You might have heard Jai asking Bowen if he could hear him. Bowen is our producer today.
We're hair tight. Hard then. Hard. Well then. Gavin.
They're right off it now. This rock's got a curl.
Yeah, Gavin. Yep. Yep. Hard. A little more. Okay.
And Lydia's going to get that one. Well, it's above the rings, and it might be guarding that yellow a little bit.
What's that?
Maybe quarter of a rock buried there. Thomas Peppers first. And this one's curling a lot. And it will just catch the outside of the rings, and that red rock did deflect off the side here at sheet 1 as well. So it'll be Guelph lying 1. 4 rocks to play. And Gavin Lydiot is going to get his first chance to throw here in the second end. Still nothing at the University of Guelph Invitational. Thomas West here and Jai Mowat down at ice level. You can see him in the background of that shot.
Wait only right now. Stay close. Yeah, line.
They're calling line.
Hard.
Trying to straighten this rock out. Sweep it as much as they can. Is that going to get by?
Yep.
Rolls to the center, and I'm not sure. Is that hanging on at the top there? Hard to see from this angle, but I think it might be. Either way, Weston Orniak is going to go ahead and call a takeout on this. So appears it is catching the top of the rings. Last stone in the second for Pepper. Or for Fennec, I should say. Hit and a little roll over. And that one's just going to stick right on top of that yellow rock frozen. Lydia at second in the second.
Close. Yep. 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 Hard. Yes. Whoa, whoa. Goodbye. Gain if you can.
So it'll just be catching the forefoot there.
Originally, they're just cutting in. Yeah, you're sliding good, you're releasing them good, they're just cutting in that extra little bit. Yeah.
So it's Knee-Page and Lydia having a conversation there, you can hear. And once again, a lot of the good things that you're hearing to start off this competition. Communication getting better. Knee-Page giving a little feedback to Lydia there, and obviously they've curled together a bit before, so.
Be decent.
Not that like they're getting to know each other or anything.
Thomas, that you mentioned, feeling comfortable with your teammate, being able to communicate and strategize about where you want to throw those stones.
I think we can get away with being a little bit big and tapping, but be ready to be on it.
Weston's feature, which camera?
Yeah.
The line's good. Yeah, you can go line, I think. Hey, take a look, take a look, take a look, take a look!
Just waiting for it to curl. Trying to nestle up against that yellow rock there, and ooh, I don't know if this is going to catch it, and it's going to go right by. Does it hang on at the back? Yeah, it does.
That was the weight I wanted to throw.
I mean, honestly, we probably know this path better anyway.
I liked it a lot out of my hand.
Yeah.
So, Jai, you hear there, you hear Dylan Knee-Page saying, you know, we know this.
I figure we probably know this path better than the other way. 5? Okay.
Sorry, Jai. I was just saying, you hear Knee-Page saying you know this spot better, and that's what it's all about, especially early in this season, talking about gathering information, obviously a really important thing, and gathering information throughout the game as well as the ice is changing.
Well, as you mentioned, that's his veteran understanding of the game kicking in, understanding how the ice is going to shape up as the game progresses.
Little tap and roll over. And Weston Orniak is probably going to be looking at the double here.
Heavy. Yeah.
Go right there with control.
So they're going to go control weight, so this isn't going to be humming in there or anything. But if he could remove 2 of these rocks and hang around, that would be ideal.
Yeah, like you're just hitting essentially just off the Kristoff knows when flopping in any little
Well, you know
roll
what
in
they
is
say,
perfect.
Thomas. In a tough situation, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. So the team that can best adapt will be the team best positioned to win this end.
All right, well, we'll see if Weston Orniak can make lemonade out of this situation, but definitely not an easy shot here.
Well,
It's got a curl. Trying to get it in there, and he will get a piece, but that yellow rock is just going to jam on that red at the back. But either way, look at the expression from Weston there as well. That rock really needed to curl, and he got his wish and just barely got a piece of that yellow.
yeah, literally.
Got the yellow at the side. I think that yellow at the side got out.
And instead of walking away with a loss, he's walking away with a lemonade.
Oh no, that yellow is hanging on there at the side. So this will be a draw for 4 for Team Guelph.
Give you a little more extension. I think you're okay, guys.
Knee Page likes it. It's looking pretty good. And that rock is going to find its way into the house. So 4 for Team Guelph, and they take a big 4-0 lead over Ryerson. Hammer back to the Ryerson Rams, but it's time to play aggressive if you're the Rams right now.
Top 4.
All right, we got to have a conversation with some of the Ryerson curling team, and we're going to give you a look at that right now. Take a look.
I'm kind of a product of the curling community. So my parents actually met at a curling bonspiel. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for curling. My grandmother, who was 89, still curled up until COVID started. So it's a family tradition. It's been, you know, I've granted in my blood. We joke at back home. It probably clicked for me when I was around 12. So I got to, fortunately got to watch my brother compete at the 2011 Canada Games in Halifax. So, you know, having a little bit of little brother syndrome, I got to watch him go out there, and they ended up actually winning a bronze medal. So that was kind of what lit the fire in me to become a little bit more competitive. I'm kind of from the curling heartland. So I grew up in Winnipeg, lived there for the bulk of my entire childhood. So went to high school there, did undergrad there. I have a commerce degree from the University of Manitoba. So I've actually just moved to Ryerson. I just moved down to Toronto at the beginning of September. So it's been an exciting move. Coming from not having played CIS, I didn't really know what the process was going to be. So in the spring, I looked Perry up, sent him an email, and said, "Hey Perry, you know, I'm a Ryerson student. I'm moving to Toronto. I'd like to be involved." And he was just absolutely nothing but supportive and understanding. He met with me, you know, the next week. We chatted for almost an hour, just kind of going back and forth, you know, talking about people we knew, talking about, you know, the curling world. And I felt, you know, instantly supported, just knowing that the program was in good hands. It took me a long time to realize, and I don't think I realized it until I kind of got into that role, is the level of concentration needed to be a very high level skip is second to none. So I like to think of first few ends of a game as really your data collection period, where you need to understand that the ice changes kind of the most in a curling game, kind of between the first couple ends, when the ice is getting a little bit less fresh, quickening up a little bit. It might be curling a little bit less. It all kind of depends on the situation and the ice conditions that you're in. So an impeccable level of concentration, especially early on in the game, is foundational. For sure, coming out of COVID, I think a lot of other teams are going to have, similar situations to ours where, there's only been ice in the GTA kind of for the last month or so, 6 weeks maybe, depending if you're going a little bit further out. So I think we're going to find ourselves in a pretty similar predicament to most of the other teams. I think it's going to be, it's going to be a learning experience. But I think based on the work that we've been putting in and the work we're going to put in over the next few weeks, I think we'll be ready come the 20th to kind of put ourselves out there and put our name onto the map a little bit.
Welcome back to the
Have an uphill battle to climb coming into the ice.
I could never compete with you, Jai. I could never compete with you. Ryerson and Guelph playing here on sheet 1 of draw 1 at the University of Guelph Invitational. Thomas West and Jai Mowat.
Whoa, whoa! Clean! Clean! Yep, yep, yep! Good.
4-0 for Team Guelph. So they put up a four spot in the second end.
That happens on this sheet is all the sound bounces to here.
So Ryerson being forced to play aggressive here just in the third end. They definitely need to get 2. 3 would be ideal if they can manufacture that. Matthias Chung calling line on this.
Real nice throw.
Yeah. Certainly agree with
Okay.
Weston Orniak's comment there. That was perfect shot from Matthias. You don't want to remove too many Guelph rocks in the situation Ryerson's in right now. Chaos is is what Ryerson wants in the rigs. They could be risky, they could give up a lot, but it's what you need right now, down by 4. It is still very early in this game. We're in the third of 8 ends. But if you have an opportunity to get 3, or at least 2, the Rams certainly need to take that.
Yep! Hard! Hard, Jaden! Hard! Hard, piece! Keep going, hard! Hard! Hard!
So it gets a piece of that red. That yellow is may get out. Weston shakes his head. Could come into play later in the end. Might be able to potentially freeze to that, but Eric Fennick and Weston Orniak discussing this. I think Eric likes the draw here.
Wait only. Be close. Straight, straight. You don't need a curl. It doesn't need a curl. Line's fine. Weight only. Weight only. Okay, you
So
can
the
curl
draw
now.
is what they're going with.
Bury it. Every inch. Every inch. Every inch. Keep
See
going.
how
Right
much they
back,
can
right
get this
back,
rock
right back.
buried.
Great throw.
Well, and that's about where they wanted it. It might be half buried behind that yellow rock, maybe a quarter at best. Weight was
Oh, yeah,
perfect,
I
though.
just didn't know what you did the first time when you were.
Gavin Lydiot's
Yep.
second rock here.
Yep. 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 Whoa. 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 Whoa.
And he will hit that and roll. Weston would love that to get as far out as he can. And yeah, it's going to sit right there, fighting the outside of the 12-foot.
9-4. Your first, you were just. It wasn't.
Bit more room. Go then. Go then. If you have to be here, you gotta be here. Yep. Keep going. Keep going. Yep. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. The dreaded same shot.
Well, that rock ends up of somewhat of a guard there at the top of the rings, and this could become slightly problematic for Team Ryerson, as I wouldn't be surprised if Dylan Nepage uses his first rock to put something in the rings.
And it's probably going to be a hair slower. 85. Yeah.
First rock of the third end for Dylan Nepage. Looking to bury this one behind that short red guard above the 12-foot. And touches a bit of the yellow. And I'm not sure how easy of a time Ryerson's going to have to get out those two yellows, but certainly a chance for a double here. Well,
I mean,
no chance to get
No.
two if you're Ryerson.
I tell if the curling really hard was the pick at the start, or
Put it on the lid. Like if you put it right on the lid, there's like that shot's not there. There. A little slower.
Heard Matthias there say it finishing
not bad.
really late in the house. Means it's getting a little bit of extra curl right at the end of its line.
Have to go line a hair. Make it nice, boys. Just make it nice. Line's great. Line's fantastic. Weight only. I really like it for line. Go, guys. Bury it right on the pin.
Oh, that's a real good shot there. And a good line call as well from Weston Orniak. I guess there is a chance to get two. I didn't see that Ryerson had a couple rocks left.
if this goes right in, yeah.
So
Yeah,
at least
it
1
should
and 1
send it
rocks
back
there.
That way, it never go towards
Ryerson
the
still has one more to throw. Guelph debating their options about what they
What
can
weight
do
do
with
you like?
this.
Tough. Tough.
Yeah, it is, but it is a tough spot, but you did just score 4 last end. You give up 2 here, it's really not the end of the world. Get Hammer back and try and add on to that. What it would be a 2-point lead. They certainly could make it real difficult for Ryerson to get to the button. Or at least get to the 4-foot.
Yep. Hard.
E. Page calling for the sweep. And oh my goodness. Went for a little double off his own yellow. Knocks out that red. So now Weston Orniak has a decision to make here whether or not that rock is in the rings. The blank is in play if it's not. So he's just deciding whether he needs to hit or he can just fire this one right through the rings.
Oh, please go.
Back when Mike, it's like, I'd hate to throw the blank, hit and then affect. What?
Yep, that's a good point
I
there
know.
as well. Early in the season,
exact
play it
same
safe,
throw.
take your one. Ryerson just wants to
Alright,
get themselves
right
on the
in the
board. Turn the hammer over, try and force a blank. Or try and force a single, I guess, in the next end.
I like it again.
And there is that other yellow biter there that I didn't notice as well. You can see it just in the left side of the box in the bottom of your corner of your screen. So that is why they're playing the draw. And draw weight is right on the money from Weston Orniak as he's made that shot twice in this game. He gets it again. Ryerson gets their single. They're on the board. We head to the 4th. 4-1. Guelph Griffins over the Rams and Weston Orniak, who has put his team on the board. So the first points of the season for the Rams.
Throw stars. Yeah, I'm fine with that, but I think let's try to put a good run.
So Weston's call there. Let's try and steal this end. We caught a little bit of what the strategy was. Try and steal in this end and grab the hammer and even ends back in favor of the Rams.
Like center line.
Thomas Pepper's first shot. And the 4th one. 4-1. Guelph over Ryerson. Perfect. Right on the center line. About 4 feet above the 12-foot. Good start for the Rams in this end with the center guard. Daniel Del Conte.
Hard. Hard, boys, hard. Line's good, weight only. Hard, drag it. Go further, a little more. Good.
From this angle, that rock looks perfectly buried, but obviously that's not straight odd for the end of the rings. Might be half a rock, quarter of a rock buried there. We heard Weston at the end of that end say that they would love to steal here if they can, so probably going to see a little bit more of an unconventional end. Get lots of rocks in the rings. That would be their ideal situation. Pepper's second.
Line should be okay. Line will be fine. You can go with
So
it.
Jai, it's 4-1 for Guelph. Obviously,
Here, boys.
Ryerson
Every inch.
has lost their hammer.
Line's great. Go
They've
hard.
given up the one, and
Every inch. You gotta bury it.
playing aggressive here is certainly going to be important.
Every inch. Go. Great.
Stone unfortunately just
Gavin
was
up.
stopping just before getting right behind the yellow stone, but still a good ability to somewhat freeze the stone.
Let's try this. Right forward. Okay.
Jai, we talked about communication at the beginning of this game. Obviously, that's one of the more important things to try and sort out in this tournament. On the first tournament in a long time. You're at ice level. What have you heard between both of these teams, especially for Team Ryerson, who hasn't played together before? What are you hearing? What's your assessment of how that's coming along so far?
Gavin.
Well, besides the obvious hard, I'm here also hearing quite a lot of shot placement, ideas about maybe where we want to set up the guard. And it's coming back to that point about Ryerson's lack of an experience, right? They have Weston Orniak, a person who has played quite a lot of curling, but you look around the rest of the squad, in Thomas Pepper, in Matthias Chung, people who have curled here and there, but they are relying quite heavily on Weston to give them a lot of guidance through the end. And that's important, coming back to that idea of communication, strategizing together so that you all are on the same page, and it just helps you be more confident as the game progresses.
Eric Fennick, another one of those guys who actually, he has quite a bit of curling experience as well.
Maybe here
And
early.
you
Yep,
got to
yep.
date back a little bit to find these numbers, but the U18 Youth Men's Championships in 2017 featured a lot of guys that we're going to see today. A couple guys from the University of Toronto, Daniel Hosevar and Matthew Prenevos, who we'll see at 3:45 today when they play the Ryerson Rams. Gavin Lydiot, Eric Fennick, Daniel Del Conte, and Jaden King, almost the entire team for Team Guelph playing in that tournament. Obviously, that was a couple of years ago, but just speaks to the curling community. If you curl, you're probably going to meet the other guy who curls at some point down the line.
Clean.
It is quite the tight-knit sport, but at the same time very inclusive. The one thing I've taken away from speaking to a lot of curlers, Thomas, is it doesn't matter what your age is, what your height is, or how fast you might be, or how slow you might be. All shapes and sizes, all backgrounds can come out and curl and have a great time.
No complaints over there.
Yeah, Jai, obviously you and I are relatively new to this curling atmosphere. Neither of us have curled in our lifetime before, but coming in and hanging out around the curling club and just seeing the culture of curling, we've, I think you can agree, we both really enjoyed our short time here in this community so far.
Absolutely, it's been quite the learning experience. Having to go on long drives with our annoying producer and having to drive long hours to Oakville, get some experience there. Now here in Guelph, it's been a true learning experience and a quite enjoyable one, if I have to say myself. And obviously, learning a new sport, there's always difficulties. You might fall on your bum, but hey, pick yourself back up and get right back on the horse.
Oh yeah, already the fourth end already going after producer Cunningham
Yep.
here.
Clean.
Well, like a curling team, Thomas, it's important for our broadcasting crew to have great communication.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jai. Great point. So that was King removing that center guard there. Eric Fennick will throw his first.
Bit of room right. Line's okay. Just here. Just here. Tommy's close. Yep, make it curl, guys. Make it curl. Yep. Keep bringing it. Keep going, Matthias. Keep going. Real nice.
So Matthias will carry that rock right into the middle there. Good weight on the guard, and like we said, just trying to create havoc. See if they can't put Guelph in a tough position, give them little to no shot to try and score their single or double or whatever it may be. And they'll remove that guard there. So that red rock at the back, that is shot rock for the moment.
Yeah, like a hack later.
And if you saw Thomas, Weston Orniak just pulling out his timer from his pocket to try and time how long the shot takes to get from one end of the ice to the other, to see how the ice is progressing through the game.
Yeah, that's really important information.
Yep, keep going. Every inch, Matthias, every inch. You gotta go. You gotta get to the center line. Keep going.
Because they're trying to guard that little hole there between the red and the yellow, and I'm sitting here behind the rings, and it looks like that's really covered up that hole nicely.
On that.
And I think Nepage is calling a run back here on that yellow. And this is a tough shot. Trying to run back the yellow. Maybe he's trying to go around it. I'll tell on the weight on this rock what he's going for here. Line right away. This is curling a lot. And I think this might get a piece of that red guard. We'll see if they can get it by. And it is just going to clip that red. So a positive outcome there. They keep the middle of the ice open.
And Thomas, one aspect of the sport I love is hearing when the granites hit each other. It's just such a strong and powerful sound. Definitely adds to the excitement of the sport.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you there. One of the most satisfying sounds. It's right up there with the crack of a baseball bat, I would say.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Giancarlo Stanton home run just behind a great Jamie Sinclair shot at the button.
That was a lot of sports all in one reference there, Jai.
Okay, let's make this.
Let's make this, says Weston Orniak. They're trying to come through these two yellows, see if they can't lie two. And it will tick off. And really not a bad outcome there for the Rams. Obviously, there's potentially an opportunity to use that as a little bit of backing for Guelph if they want to try and come through. But I don't know if there's a shot for two here.
Like 7-8. thinking Norm, just run it back and try to stick it there.
So yellow is sitting first
If
and
it
second
runs, we
shot.
get the back one with it.
Or sorry, red is sitting first and second shot. That's Team Ryerson. They're right where they want to be right now. This is I think this is a draw to the button here, that, or at least to the 4-foot.
Definitely not the worst outcome. Behind the tee line,
Yeah.
that stone close to the 4-foot definitely could possibly help steal a point later on in the end.
Final stone in the 4th end for Guelph.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
Looking to hit and remove at least one of those red stones. And they're going to get one, and Ryerson is going to do exactly what they set out to do here. Oh, I guess they had more. They had one more each.
He's got to be in the house, second shot where he can't get rid of
Well, that would have been the outcome the Rams wanted, but miscalculated by a stone there.
We need 4 feet less. Like really not much though. If I throw a similar, pull back a hair. It's a big kick. Okay.
Now you have to think, Thomas, in this instant, Weston might want to just freeze the back stone on the 8-foot so that even if Guelph tries to go for the button, Ryerson will still be within there.
Okay, make it nice and be on it, like be on the rock. It's going sideways. Don't set up a double.
Gets a little kick off that red, and it's going to nuzzle in right in front of that yellow. And Weston said there, don't set up the double. He wanted to make sure there was some backing on that red rock. And that's a creative shot from the Rams. I don't know. I don't think there's a double there. I think that's going to jam on that yellow if you try to send that across the red.
Well, right now I'm standing sheet side and listening to Gavin Lydiot and Dylan Nepage speak. It seems that they're going to go in between both the red stones to try and see if they can roll it off and keep themselves closest to the button.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to try and do too, but I'd be worried here if you're knee page that red's going to jam. Going to have to throw a lot of weight here. So now we have last rock in the 4th end.
As you mentioned, Thomas, a lot of weight on this shot. Let's hope his veteran experience can give him that.
Whoa!
This one is flying in. Sweepers are right off. Can he get a piece of the red on? And is he sitting one? Ooh. That is real close. What do you think, Jai? Red or yellow?
Ooh, there's a bit of a deliberation between the players right now.
And I think they are going to say yellow.
They are going to say yellow. Well, tally ho, what a shot from all the way back there to get it in between the two rocks to get the roll off.
So 5-1 Guelph. Ryerson forces. They wanted the steal, but certainly not a bad option for the Ryerson Rams. As we are going to throw it to another one of our features here. We sat down with John Cullen, who's a broadcaster. Met him at the Stu Sells Oakville Tankard, and he gave us some really great insight into curling. Take a look.
My elementary school offered it as part of a program, so I got to take a couple curling lessons, really liked it. It fit in with my hockey schedule, and it was really cheap also. When you're a junior, curling is super cheap because they want to get their hooks in. They want you to play. So curling was like $50 for the entire season. So basically the positions are sort of named after the position in which you, or the order, sorry, in which you throw the rocks. So common misconception about curling is that some people throw and some people sweep. Everybody does all those things. I mean, the skips, they sweep a lot less than the other players, but everybody does both. So the lead throws the first 2 rocks, the second throws the next 2, the third throws the next 2, and the skip throws the last 2. Although this is an Ontario production, so sometimes they call the third the vice skip. It's a beautiful game. I think it's great to watch. I think it's great to play. I think there's sort of a meditative quality about it. Maybe not so much when you're playing, but certainly when you're watching it. There's something just sort of relaxing and nice about the game in general, which I think is really cool. For me, it was the Brier, just because that's what we grew up with. I mean, I think most people now would say it's the Olympics. Getting to go to the Olympics, I think, is what every curler wants now. And obviously the Brier and the Scotties mean a lot. And this is obviously, I'm Canadian, so it's different for, there's a huge international flavor in the game. So I can't speak for people who are born in Europe or in Asia, in curling countries in those nations, and what it means, what their dreams are and what it means to them. But I think for Canadians, I still think the Brier and the Scotties are just like that little bit bigger than the Olympics. I would say watching the games is always good. Like, I still love the sport. I love to watch a really good curling game. And I think the one thing that doing play-by-play does is it's like, it almost like locks you in even closer to the game than if you were just like watching it on TV or watching it in the stands.
Welcome back.
Great. Thomas, speaking to your point earlier about us being inexperienced, what a delight for us to speak to an individual like John, who has a plethora of knowledge about the game. He's a 2-time BC National silver medalist. He is the play-by-play commentator for curling.com, and it's such a great learning experience for us newcomers to the game, being able to take from him ideas and strategy about curling, so that when we come and put on the broadcast for the OUA Invitational, we are being welcomed into a community, and it's just so great to have that experience with John Conn.
Yeah, certainly is. Great conversation with him, and he's a comedian as well, so he's just got a fantastic sense of humor. And you mentioned about talking about his 2 silver medals, and I think his response to that was something like, oh, well, you told me, you say congrats on the silver medals. He's like, oh, well, you told me I lost twice.
Well, it's never a bad idea to have a comedian in the play-by-play booth. It just adds to the broadcast. And Thomas, might I say, we are quite lucky to have you in our play-by-play booth, because you're quite the comedian yourself.
You're too kind, Jai. Way too kind. Thanks,
Thomas, man. As I'm noticing this end progress, the one thing I've picked up on is just how underrated the lead and the second position are. I've been noticing them yelling things like 8, 7 numbers. It's the mathematics of this game. And let me just tell you, I was terrible in maths in high school, so the fact that these guys are yelling numbers, yelling hard, calling guards, it just shows how complex and skilled this game is.
No, you mentioned it right off the bat, right? It's chess on ice, except you have to actually make the shot to move your chess pieces. It's athletic chess. So here's King throwing for the Guelph Griffins. Couple corner guards in play.
Running more, running wider. Yeah, Gavin. Yep. Hard.
Gavin Lydiot is giving everything he can on this, trying to straighten it out.
Hard.
And end up right in the middle of the ice there. So that yellow is guarded. And Ryerson is totally fine with these center guards right now, as they're trying to produce a multi-score end. 2 or 3. Obviously 4 would be great, but they're running out of rocks here.
Close. Close. Yep. Whoa. Whoa. Girl.
Fennec and Pepper, the sweepers.
Girl. Go, Eric. Go, Eric. That's okay. Open it up.
And that one's going to tip off. And yep, that is okay. Opens it up a little bit. But there is those two guards right down the middle. That's going to be real hard to deal with that if Gavin Lydiot can put one in the rings buried here. Obviously, they already have that one rock just off the edge of the 4-foot. And from what I'm looking at right here, I got a pretty good view straight down the sheet, standing right behind Gavin Lydiot, who's about to deliver this rock. And I'm not looking at a lot, about half a rock on that yellow, buried behind those two center guards.
Jaden's rock.
Jaden King will sweep
Jaden.
this one.
Yep. 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 Hard.
And this
Hard, you
one's
got it.
got to get over
Hard.
the hog line, and
Hard.
it
Whoa,
just
whoa, you're
will.
good.
So now
Sweep.
I'm looking at nothing on that yellow. That yellow is firmly buried there. See what Fennec decides to do. So I think they're going to try and open things up a little bit here with Fennec first. See if they can't get a couple of those guards
Close.
moving
Close.
northward.
Yes. Yes. Real hard.
Yeah, both Fennec and Orniak. And that's a pretty good shot right there, as he's going to get rid of a couple of those center guards.
I think it grabbed something there because it looked like it went straight sideways. Great
And
shot.
Thomas, you have to think that a lot of these curlers have their eyes on being a part of the university games.
Yep, absolutely. Those are going on pretty soon. The University of Alberta team will be the one representing the Guelph Griffin, or representing the Team Canada
Line's good.
at the university
Where are we,
games.
guys?
And the top 4 countries so far in the medal count
Okay.
in the university games is Norway,
whoa, whoa.
Sweden, Canada, and the UK. I think the UK is just above Canada
That'll be
there
good.
with a total
have-
medal count of 5 compared to Canada's 3. So hopefully the Canadians can increase that this year.
Good shot.
And the last success from the, or the, good amount of success from the University of Alberta, I believe, was Brendan Botcher, who's doing pretty well in the curling scene right now, and he won a bronze medal back in 2013 at the university games.
Whoa. Yep. Whoa.
The last Ontario team to represent, that was Aaron Squires from Laurier in 2017. And the last team to win that, you got to go on the men's side at least, you got to go all the way back to Mike McEwen in 2003. A gold medal for Team Canada. 2017 games as well. That one won by Bruce Mowat, who could be the top curler in the world right now. Right up there with
Yeah.
Brad Jacobs.
Well, amongst us, we have a world-ranked team in the Guelph Griffins. If I'm not mistaken, they're
Yes.
316th.
Yeah.
Just because if we come deeper and we're here,
Yeah,
that's
Team Knee Page, 316th in the world rankings. They've accrued about half a world ranking point. So they accrued about a full world ranking point
Yeah.
last
Here's
curling
ideal.
season. And then the way that's working this year is
Yep.
that you get half of your score from last year, half of the points that you've acquired, and then the full amount of points that you've acquired from this
Ideal
year.
wins
So
like a high two.
Bruce Mowat is the one leading the way this season in the world curling rankings.
Basically, like,
But Brad Jacobs is the one
what's that?
atop the world
Yeah,
curling
like a
rankings
high
right now,
two.
just because he has
So-
acquired so much from the last season. As Dylan Knee-Page throwing his first here in the fifth end. Still that one yellow sitting in the rings.
Line's good. Easy, Dan. Dan. Dan, all the way. Hard, Dan. Get
And the
across
Griffins are going to
line.
guard this with everything they
Keep
got,
going, keep going, keep
as
going.
there
Hard,
is
hard, hard.
just a mess of rocks above the rings. That
think that
yellow is
doesn't
just completely buried in a
does.
pile of stones.
Nice sweep.
And I wouldn't be surprised if this end ends up with the Ryerson Rams trying to make some kind of a run back to score their 1 or 2.
I think this is all we really have. Like, we gotta get a piece of the forefoot. If we can do that, he's gonna be in tough. Like, it's probably not gettable if you make it. So, air slower out here.
So they're looking for a piece of the forefoot. Trying to draw around the pile of debris sitting in front of the rings.
Even if it looks like a bullet out of my hand, just like,
And like Lightning McQueen, avoid the mess in front of you and try your best to get into the button.
Absolutely, and yeah, there's a mental side of this too. Is Orniak is looking at a mess out there. As he's just trying to. This weight's got to be real good, as he's got to come way out and rely on the curl of this ice to get it back in.
you gotta go. You guys gotta go
You
every
can see
inch. You
Fennick
got
there
it. If you
just
go, you got it.
sweeping as hard as possible.
It's light, and they're trying to get it in. Can they get it for shot?
Good sweep.
And it's going to end up at the top of the rings, but that is biting. And I don't know, that may have been the best they could do coming around the edge there. So they do have a shot in play. It's second shot, right at the top of the 12-foot.
You like thinking it over here then?
I'm just trying to think this through in my head.
Yeah.
I don't know if Guelph.
Somewhere over here. And if really, really light, it blocks that.
That red rock, it's not, well, it's a little buried. It's about half a rock buried on the outside, but I worry if you try and take that out, if you ever miss that and accidentally tapped Ryerson in for a shot rock, you're giving away a lot of the work you've done to try and steal or force.
Yeah. I think I like this. Try to just push as far back as we can. Yeah. If we're T-line, that's good. Anywhere behind is good too.
So the call from Knee Page is they're trying to put this one in the
He
rings,
thinks similar speed as what I've been throwing for draws.
and he would love to have
A few more.
T-line, but if he ends up giving a little bit of backing behind the rings, it's okay too. If he could get shot rock, that would also put a lot of, well, I guess they already are shot rock. If he gets second shot with this, that would put a lot of pressure on the Rams, and if it finds the rings, that's most likely where it's going to be. Let's see. Line's looking real good. And how about that? Right on the T line there, and well, this is a tough shot for a single for Weston Orniak.
Okay, let's do a bump then. Let's do a bumper. Maybe an inch less.
They're going to try and hit and roll to the button, or at least somewhere within striking range of the 4-foot.
Like you need the flop. Bump, I think. Get what I can see, and I think we get one, and we'll go from there. Yeah, I think we're looking for closer to 11. Okay. I think 11 is like 11 will be enough. Look like enough to you guys?
Big shot here for Weston. Last rock for Ryerson. They could really use this to stay alive in this game.
Fucking set it.
And away we go. Let's see where the stone ends up.
Weston trying to get this rock to curl. And that one's going to hit off the center guard, so it'll be a steal of 2 for Team Guelph. Ryerson will keep the hammer, but they are going to be down 7-1 here at the University of Guelph Invitational. Heading to the 6th end. Jai, obviously a little bit of frustration there from Team Orniak, is I don't think that rock picked. I think he knew it right out of his hand. That you could tell from the expression on his face that was definitely going to chip that center guard.
Definitely, and you
Top
could see
four.
from his hand-arm
Got me in, top
expressions
four.
that he was just trying to swing it a bit off to the other side, just couldn't get exactly what he wished for. But the other thing I noticed, Thomas, was that though they were behind and they had the hammer, they didn't throw corner guards as much in the guard zone, you know, giving them chances to hide their stones and making it tough for the other team to use them.
Yep, that's a good point. When you get those center guards, that's what creates those big scores. You get that rock buried, and how about that end too? That yellow rock was thrown into the rings, and maybe the first 3 rocks of that end. And Guelph, how about the job they did just guarding that? Ryerson had no chance to get in there and touch that yellow rock, which pretty much created all the problems in that end.
Definitely. Guelph.
Every edge. I don't think you're there, guys. I don't think you're there.
So this rock will be thrown out. Doesn't quite make it to the hog line. See what Guelph decides to do here. And yeah, I think they might just peel their own guard here and keep things open.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams really needed that center guard, and that's looking pretty good.
A solid 7-5.
And Guelph with the hammer clearing out the house. Look for those blanks. Keep the hammer advantage as the ends come closer to the end of the game.
Yep, hammer and even ends for the Rams, but down by 6.
Definitely a tough mountain to
2 is
climb.
good. Go then.
This will be another guard.
We gotta curl. We need it to curl. Need it to curl. Need it to curl. Can't be that tight though. Can't be that tight. Easy.
Give me your take on this here, Jai. What,
Real.
how?
Well, putting away my mathematics skills, let's just say it's quite a lot, Thomas. It's quite the mountain to climb for them. I think I've found myself repeating that quite a few times, but I think the best case scenario for them right now is to get points on the board, give them themselves that confidence as the season progresses. Like we said, this is a new team. It's their first time playing since the pandemic, and that was quite a bit of a break from the ice.
Yeah.
So the best thing they can do for their confidence is get points on the board, take that back into the work shed, get to the coaching staff, and say, hey, these were where we went wrong, these were the positives, let's build on the positives.
Yep, that's a fantastic point. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ryerson is looking at that in a similar fashion. Obviously, this is somewhat of a preseason tournament that we're looking at right now, and it's all about ironing out the kinks, seeing what they can, seeing what they have, seeing what they still need to work on when the regular season comes around and they start getting into tournaments with a little bit more on the line.
Absolutely, and Ryerson, keep in mind, this is still quite a young
One is
program.
great.
They're 7 years in, 8 years in. They're still finding their groove, still finding
right
their
here.
rhythm. Who
Just
knows
my
what they
grill.
could be? They could be
Hand
one of the
over
best
girl.
teams in the future in the OUA.
Always Eric.
Maybe not one of the best teams, but it's all about having the
see a couple of guards here thrown up by Ryerson. Not center guards, as you mentioned before. Trying to keep them to the outside, keep the middle of the ice open, but they're going to start having to bring a few rocks in the rings here.
Clean. Clean.
As this is just going to be a peel here from King. And he'll
Denied.
remove that red rock. And this is a real good looking Guelph Griffins team as well, as their communication is real good for the beginning of the season, and you know, everyone on this team has been making a lot of shots. Dylan Kneepage at a nice draw for 4. That back in the 6th end, and then a steal of 3, and that's where we sit right now. Ryerson was able to put 1 on the board and turn the hammer back over. Now they have it back, but down 7-1. T.S. Chung looks on as trying to throw another guard here, and now this time bringing this guard a little bit more into the center.
A little bit. That's a great throw.
Encouragement there from Weston Arniak. Good shot.
Well, 7-1 in the 6th end. An ideal scenario here for Ryerson with the hammer would be to get 3 points, possibly 4. To try and tighten up that gap.
Clean.
They're just running out of rocks, Jai.
Well, that's what the game's all about, making sure those stones count, making sure that you're utilizing the stones effectively. Unfortunately, early on in this game, we saw quite a few rocks go past the house, behind the back line, and a few rocks, especially in this end, one of them not making it over the hog line.
Yeah, that kind of set up the way this end went, because obviously those first 5 rocks, you can't remove them. Those are the free guards.
Go then.
And
Gotta be here. Where?
kind of just ran into real estate and allowed the Guelph Griffins to start removing those guards, keeping the ice wide open. They're going to throw one more here. And
That's good.
I think the Griffins might just go ahead and remove that again.
Okay, PR just.
Oh, maybe they'll switch it up. I didn't hear what the answer to that question was. But we'll see on the weight on this shot. Yeah, this is a peel. They're going to peel the guard once more. And then I think we see Ryerson try and come in behind that red corner guard there. That's right up above the butt, or right up above the rings. Yeah, this is a draw. You see Weston Orniak pulling out the timer.
No. Did he?
Okay, clean it then. You're sweeping for back 8. Sweep for back 8. Line's gonna be okay. Line will be good. Go then. Every inch. Every inch.
Trying to get
Go,
this
Matthias,
one
go,
into
go,
the
go,
house.
go.
Matthias
Go, go, go,
and
go.
Thomas Pepper.
Go.
Can they get in the rings?
Great.
Yeah, it just nestled up next to each other above the rings.
Yeah. But
Yeah, so they're gonna hit this red on the
Yeah.
left side,
Yeah,
I think,
this
and
is
try and knock it into the red rock right beside it.
Then half.
Split these out and keep things wide open. Try and force Ryerson here. The 6th end.
Peel thin half. Yeah. Whoa.
Line might be a little wide. Oh, no, they are going to get a piece of that just on that red as they're trying to scoot it out the back. And it's going to hang around. So it means that Ryerson's lying one, but obviously that's no problem
I
for
didn't
Guelph.
think
Just
so, but I might have.
lying just
like
one
a
with 2
subtle
rocks
one,
to
and
play
it
for
just held
Ryerson.
it.
That's the situation Guelph wants probably right now.
Second shot, but anywhere really. If we can be fully buried behind that, that's great. But mostly just a weight shot. Make sure we're there.
So, and as I see it here, they had 2 options. They could put one over on the right side of the rings on the opposite side that yellow rock is, and maybe try and play like sort of like a semi-guard on that red, but that does expose you to the freeze.
Like a lot.
So I think Weston's going to try and come around this yellow that's biting the top of the 12-foot.
Go then. Try to go. No, you can go curl, actually. Line's going to be fine.
Sweepers are on it. Weston likes the line.
Oh, we got to go straight, guys.
And oh boy, that rock really, really curled there. As maybe that's a little bit of that late finish that Matthias is talking about, and that is unfortunate for the Rams. I am pretty sure that there was something on the ice there that rock got a piece of, and
we'll work on the sweeping. No, I mean like the.
He might. Like I think we try to stick it. I think I'll ignore him though. Just
that rock just took a
try to take some of the
hard
guts
left
out.
turn there at the end. So not a great situation for the Rams right now.
Just try to nose it with Norm.
But before that rock picked something, it looked like it was going to be good. Weston liked the line, liked the weight.
Job number 1 is.
And that call there, job number 1, make sure the red goes. So ideally, well, Guelph wouldn't mind just rolling out just so Ryerson has no backing to try and get their 1, or even a chance at a blank. But just make contact with this red, plenty of weight, and that should force the Rams. You can stick around. Well, they won't stick their shooter, but I think that
That's good. It might be there. Close. I think it's there, but
Still up. Hey. It's hard, but it's like if essentially if we hit it with feel right where the broom is, that would be
so they're trying to blank.
out.
As I see, I'm not sure actually what this call is. Are they trying to do something fancy with that red to try and roll both in? Or is just a shot for a blank? We'll have to wait and see. This has got a lot of weight on it from Weston Orniak. Last rock in the 6th. And it's gonna just miss that red rock, so it'll be a steal of 1.
We'll play it.
For the Guelph Griffins, and they are going to take an 8-1 lead here at the University of Guelph Invitational.
We'll throw them there. Like, there's no reason for us not to.
Yeah, and that call right there. There could be handshakes at this point, but with where they are in the season, well, take the ice time when you can get it. Practice as much as you can, and Ryerson obviously probably trying to generate a multi-score, but at this point in the game, it's almost mathematically impossible to get back in this game.
Top 4.
We'll go to Jai Moet at ice level. What do you got for us, Jai?
Well, it's been unfortunate for the Rams. They haven't been able to score enough points. However, that being said, the ice time is valuable. They still get chances to grow their game and understand how to better set up their guards and how to best position their stones. It's just been a difference in experience. Guelph has come out here and has been dominant right off the first end. They've been able to steal, they've been able to force, and they've been making the most of the hammer when they've had it. We saw earlier when they got 4 points. It's that level of experience that Ryerson will develop as the season progresses. But right now, take the ice time and just
And that's exactly what Ryerson is going to do right now. Obviously, they don't have a lot of hopes of winning this game at this point in time, but they would like to see if they can't develop themselves a multi-score end in the 7th. So 8-1 Guelph here at the University of Guelph Invitational Men's Curling Sheet 1 action, and the first draw of this one-day tournament. Be 3 today, so there's the one that started at 9:30. That's the game you're watching right now, and then you can tune right back here on our YouTube channel on the Button Curling at 12:45. We'll have the Trent Excalibur and the University of Toronto Varsity Blues, and then or the Guelph Griffins. I just got a real dirty look from Steve Szymanski, the Guelph Griffins coach, says it's Trent and Guelph. Trent and Guelph at 12:45. You can tune in here. That's a women's game.
Yep. Yep. Whoa, whoa. Yeah, just.
Another guard here from the Griffins, and they'll nuzzle that one up right next to Ryerson's corner guard. Matthias Chung for the Rams will throw his first.
Whoa, whoa. Close. Close. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No. Okay.
Not the shot that they wanted. And opens up the end a little bit, or opens up the ice. I don't think Ryerson really has, try and score 7 on their mind kind of thing, but they certainly would like to put up a couple here in the 7th.
Yep. 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 That's how we do.
Love to hear the curling chatter out on the ice as well, as I think these guys are real happy to be back out there and throwing rocks in competition.
it's digging now. Real nice. Hard.
Gavin Lydiot, the Guelph of Ice, as we say it here in Ontario. Throwing a lot of weight, trying to make that red rock on the corner go away.
One ticket.
And just gets a piece.
Never doubt.
Dylan Nepage with the ultimate confidence in his vice. You always like when you throw a rock absolutely perfectly.
Wait
Sweepers
only.
don't even need to touch it, and it
Go
just
then.
gets to where you want it.
Go then. Line's great. Line's fantastic.
Young and
Every
Pepper
inch.
trying to
Straight,
sweep
straight,
this
straight,
one
straight,
as
straight,
far
straight,
as they
straight,
can.
Straight. Keep going.
Orniak
Keep
calling
going. Get it
straight,
around. Tuck it around.
and need to straighten it out just a little bit more as that one ticked off. So now they got a little double corner guard action.
We can get both if you want to try. Just gotta go this way.
Does he want to try? No, he's going to go for one. Let's just remove the one.
Clean.
Looking pretty good. Good hit and roll out. And he does just that.
Never doubt on any of those. Yeah.
Okay, line will be nice. Whoa, easy, easy. Take a look. Take a look. Look, look. Just
Eric
sweep
Fennick
T.
here
Just
looking
sweep
for
T.
draw weight.
We're gonna go curl.
Looking for T line.
Go curl if we have. Only if we have to, though. Go a little bit. Yeah, you can go a little bit, I think.
Weight looks good. Line is looking pretty
Great
good
shot.
too. And how about that? That is buried right on the corner there. Thomas Fennick. Fantastic shot. Perfect weight and perfect line as well. Good call by
It's on the other side.
Weston
It's-
Arniak.
Bumper.
Yep.
Knee Page throwing first
Yep.
skip stones in the 7th.
Whoa. Well, I made the correction from last time. I didn't set that one.
Yep, that's true. Gathering information as the
Well, I think
game
it's safe
goes
to say
on.
I did not set that one.
Not much. Yeah, I was thinking about the same split.
And considering where we are in this game right now, that's
We
what
had
they
a
want to
similar
do.
Split, so I don't think anything really needs to
get back into the swing of things in curling. Obviously, they have been practicing at their home clubs, but I think there's still some
Yeah, so I was getting
Ontario University teams that are still looking to make up their team, and so early in the season still. This is really the first event that's going on in Ontario for university curling.
on the release.
Orniak is saying it's a little soft.
Nice. Just in front of the tee line. Got to be in front of the tee line.
They don't want to sweep this, but they don't want this to roll too far. And yeah, pretty good shot there as well. And yeah, Gavin Lydiot looking at just smashing something. Gonna come way out along the edge, and
Yeah.
I know as well that the edge of the ice is obviously not the best, and I don't think that I don't think anyone's throwing down that line. So people are gonna be watching this shot carefully. Some treading into some newfound territory here. Knee-Page is gonna come all the way around this yellow. And we'll see what that fresh ice there, the left of sheet 1 has got.
Clean. We have one of them clean.
And he gets the one, and nice little save there as well by, I think that was King. That rock almost bounced off the wall and came back and interfered with that red rock in play.
It would be as if
That would have been what? That would have been line. Didn't really go hard on it at all.
Final rock and N7.
Try to give you the save.
And a chance for their first multi-score end for the Ryerson Rams. Orniak's been pretty good on his draws today.
Line's nice. Same.
And I think he likes the way this one's looking. Young will just guide it into the rings, and there you go. First 2 spot of the season put up by the Ryerson Rams as they now trail 8-3. And they're deciding whether they're going to keep going with this game. Yeah, I think they're going to play one more end. So we're going to throw to a quick feature with Matthias Chung, who you just saw going through your screen right there. We'll be right back.
So I'm from Prince George, British Columbia. It's about a 9-hour drive north of Vancouver. So very kind of secluded from the big city BC that everyone's used to seeing. But it's a really, really beautiful town. Lots of stuff to do outdoors, and of course, lots of things to do in the winter. A long winter, about 5-6 months long. I found an interest in the sport around grade 5, so when I was like 8 or 9, but I didn't actually start curling until I was about 13. There's so many people, and I mean, curlers are from my experience, such fantastic people. Some of my best friends from back home are people I've met through curling, and even people that I've only met once or twice in real life, I still talk to very often online. But I think it's so important to grow the sport, and it just helps. That community just fosters connection between curlers. And I mean, even all the way up to the professional level, you'll see after a game, curlers who were, cutthroat and competing against each other the whole game will go up and give each other a hug at the end of the game, because at the end of the day, we're all friends. We're all curlers. We've all competed against each other since day one, really, especially if you stay within your province. You've known these people your whole life. You've trained with them. You've become friends with them. You spent weekends with them at competition. So I never, back home, I never got the opportunity to compete in fours, but I played mixed doubles. So my first provincial event I played when I was 15, and it was mixed doubles provincials. And we beat the hometown team in an extra M, which was a very, very special moment. Even I have like a lot of memories just playing in the club with, older people who were club players, or even like fellow youth curlers who kind of invited me out to start and kind of got me going playing the game. And just a lot of memories around that, and just learning from people and making good shots. I think we're pretty well prepared. I mean, we've only known each other for a number of weeks, but I think we're gelling pretty well as a team, and being able to kind of communicate and call shots that we want to make them. Skill levels are getting back up to competition level after the off season. So it's been really great, and I think we're pretty ready for it.
Welcome back to the Guelph Curling Club, the University of Guelph Invitational, and our game has just gone final as handshake score end, and the Griffins, that 4 spot they put up back in the third, that is the turning point of this game. We are not done yet, though. We'll have another game, the Griffins and Gallagher, that coming up at 12:05 in the afternoon. Watch that right here on our YouTube channel, and streaming out at the University of Toronto Varsity Archive. Tuning in on the Button Curling from Thomas West and Jai Mowat, who has given us insight from ice level. We'll see you in a couple hours.